Welcome back, everybody. Time again for another episode of the OC Spotlight, the only show that takes a look at the most incredible people doing the most amazing things. And, well, this one is one near and dear to my heart here. You'll hear more as we talk about it. But I want to welcome to our show here for the first time Dr. Ellis Krasnow. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And you are the director of an amazing program that just opened here in Orange County. There are a couple others up in Los Angeles, but you just brought it down here. It's the STEM Academy. The STEM Academy, what makes it so unique is it's the only K through 12 school in the nation to provide STEM curriculum to students with special needs, with social and learning differences or disabilities here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So let's try and unpack this a little bit. STEM stands for what? We all hear the terminology: science, technology,
engineering, and math.
Engineering and math. Those would not seem to be subjects that most of us, I'm sorry to say, would think we could teach kids with special needs. Was that a hurdle, and why did you decide to bring this curriculum to this body of students here?
So I think there are two ways to come at that question. The first is that there's this enormous need for individuals who are trained, who have the kind of skills that the workforce is demanding.
Absolutely.
That industry and business is demanding. So that's on the demand side, there's this huge demand. On the supply side, if you like, there's this huge population of kids with special needs of one sort or another who are enormously capable and have these natural talents, these natural skills, which lend themselves extremely well to STEM pursuits. So the hope is that they will meet in the middle.
But we're dealing with kids that are what? Autistic, or I don't know what the correct terminology is anymore. They have learning disabilities. They've been brain damaged, or they don't have certain capabilities that other kids do. You would think the best we can do is teach them to work at McDonald's or something here, and yet your aspirations are much higher.
Absolutely. And so what STEM3 Academy tries to do is to, first of all, we're looking for kids who are average to above average cognitively, intellectually, and who have an interest or a passion. So sometimes that passion can be in math, can be in science, could be in engineering or technology, but it might just as easily be in writing, it might be in marine biology, it might be in the arts or the humanities. So I'm less concerned about what their particular passion or interest is. I'm much more concerned that they have one. And so we view our task as engaging them, interacting with them, and developing in them the kind of skills that are going to be absolutely essential if they're going to be successful. So just to add one further point, I think the way we look at this is traditionally kids with special needs, with a variety of needs, including autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, bipolar, and so on, specific learning disabilities, they have done very poorly after high school. Generally, they can get through high school because they have a lot of supports, but they struggle thereafter. So we asked ourselves, what is there differently that we can do K through 12 to alter that outcome, to make them more successful, to give them greater opportunities? And so far, the results have been incredibly promising by providing them with a rigorous curriculum, K through 12, which include the core subjects of English, math, science, and history, but enriching that with robotics, with engineering and design. In Orange County, we're teaching Mandarin, for example, from elementary school.
Somebody with, as you say, high-functioning autism spectrum disorder. There's a mouthful, but
yes.
Somebody who has trouble interacting with others, you're going to teach them how to interact in Mandarin.
Absolutely, because, we have certainly very high goals for these kids, very high expectations, but our experience also is the higher your expectation, the more effort and the greater the promise and the more they will perform. If you go in with low expectations, then that's what you'll get. You'll get an average to poor result.
Well, I applaud you. I am fascinated by this, and that's why we had to have you in here, because just real quickly for the audience, I adopted a child who had some special needs in her background. She adopted out of foster care. She'd never been to school. She was like raised by wolves, and suddenly at 11 or 12, we drop her into a middle school in an affluent area, and they're like, well, what are we going to do? She can't read or write. She can't add 2 and 2. And so we fought hard. We got her into special education, and the wide spectrum of people. I'm sorry to say, in the corner, there's some kid banging his head against the wall. Over here is somebody that one of her best friends had severe brain trauma and was limited in her ability to learn. And then there's autistic and all the wide range of disabilities or problems or issues or people. And the creativeness of these teachers, the tenacity, the willingness to think outside the box and to work with these kids was enormous. And in my own daughter's case, they were able to teach her and catch her up and overcome all the obstacles in her life. And she's now a productive member with a child and a husband and a job. And, I'm not saying she's not without problems, but they turned her into a happy, productive person here.
That's a fantastic story. And I think what's interesting is that all of these children with their variety of needs need to be approached in a different way.
Yes, right.
Some kids learn visually, some kids learn orally, some kids learn kinesthetically.
Yes.
And so you need a teacher who is going to tailor the education to the particular needs of the child.
That was the case of my daughter. Because she couldn't read or write. She couldn't read it. She wasn't very well auditory. You could tell her something, but she wouldn't hold on to it. Mm-hmm. It was really, you had to show her. Now, how do you show her math? How do you show her history? How do you turn that into something tangible that they can touch and feel? But once you did that, she got it, and the light bulb would go on, and it was amazing. And the teacher's creativity, there's no curriculum, there's no set way to. This was a unique challenge they had never seen before in a wide spectrum of challenges, and so to be able to work with this population of students who so want to have self-esteem, who so want to be contributing, who so want to do something, who have the same dreams and hopes and desires as everybody else does.
Absolutely. And so often you think, even if you take kids on the autism spectrum, so one of their weaknesses can be socialization and interacting with others. And so it's easy to make the false assumption, they don't really want to be with others. But the reality is they do. They want friends just as much as you or I. They want to interact with others. It's the how do I do it that's the problem for them, not that they want to do it.
They don't know how to process this outside stimulus that they're getting. It's overwhelming, the sounds, the noises, the lights, everything here that makes them withdraw to a certain degree.
Absolutely. And similarly with their education. So we have a very experiential approach where it's hands-on, a lot of project-based learning, where they make things and do things, and we engage them in electronics and robotics and programming, and these are the kinds of skills that the 21st century workplace is demanding.
Right. We've had, on the other end, to your point, we get these kids through school. We have special programs to help them. We've got creative, dedicated, really unique group of teachers that'll work with them in small group situations. Every kid gets as they used to say, what's it called? The IEP. Yeah, their Educational Independent Plan or whatever it stands for. And they kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. Now, they graduate. Okay, next. And you're supposed to somehow live on your own. You're supposed to somehow get a job. You're supposed to somehow take care of yourself. And so many of these kids fail because they just still need help. They still need assistance. They still need guidance. And they've learned the basics to get through school, but they haven't learned the basics to survive life.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
And even in my daughter's case, she needs extra help and support and whatnot, and getting to her job and handling these things. So how do you prepare them for that graduation? You give them skills that others might not think they could master, and you give them skills that are very marketable, but do they get any other support beyond that?
Absolutely. So here is where a county like Orange County is really quite unique in its own regard. And one of the reasons why we were really keen to be here is a little known fact is that Orange County is second only to Silicon Valley in the number of tech firms in the country.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, usually people think, well, it must be Massachusetts or Texas.
Yeah, right.
But it's actually not. It's Orange County. And so one of the things we've done is we partner with a lot of industry and commerce. We want them to know the school exists. They come onto campus, so we have relationships with Raytheon and with Northrop Grumman and with SpaceX, and we hope to develop a lot of relationships with commerce and industry here in Orange County. So those are possibilities for apprenticeships. Those are possibilities for people to come to the school and talk about cybersecurity, or these are the things we're interested in, and we think these are the kinds of skills that people are going to have to develop in order to be successful. So yes, we do develop in them technical skills, but also there's a huge focus for us on social and emotional learning. So how do you interact with others? How do you communicate? Can you be collaborative? Are you empathetic? And we embed those skills into the program, into the curriculum, but we also have a dedicated class where we teach these kids the kinds of skills that are needed to be successful in those areas.
Wow. Well, fantastic. And perhaps we can introduce you through our business connections here and our business shows into some of the people that might take advantage of this and that you could partner with and work with. I'll give you a couple examples here. We've had both of them in here in the last year. I'm sorry, my voice is so raspy today. I'm fighting a cold here, so hang in there with me, folks. But we've had both Project Independence in here, and we've had the Goodwill in here. And what do they share in common? They both have programs designed to help place people with special needs, kids that otherwise would be sitting at home doing nothing, and find them jobs, find them productive employment here. And they have job coaches that work with them and stay with them and even go on the job with them if need be. I don't know how they pay for all this and fund it, but what amazed me is we not only had them come in and talk about the programs, I said, I wanted to meet some of the people who've hired some of these kids. And they did. So they brought in people from Trader Joe's, for example, or there's a hotel, I forgot the name of it, up in Anaheim that uses a number of people in their programs. You know, the menial stuff that nobody else wants to do, linen, gardening, cleanup, all these things. And the question I asked them bluntly, which I'll ask you, is there a fear that this is going to be a problem? I myself, if you brought an autistic child into the radio station, would suddenly think, oh my God, they're going to break something, they're going to scare everybody, there's going to be a problem. As much as I'd want to help, given my own background, there's a fear there. And all these people said, oh my God, we all had a fear, and it was not even true. These kids are ready, they got help, they got support, and they're excited to be here. They show up on time. They can't wait to come to work, and it's infectious. Our staff, rather than being turned off, was turned on. Our customers loved it, and everybody embraced it. It's like somehow we got, rather than setting them aside and keeping them, locked up or away from everybody, mainstream them, get them into the world. It's amazing what happens. Is that your experience?
Well, the beauty, I think, of STEM3 Academy is we're graduating. It's a diploma track school, so we're graduating kids who are going to college. So I have a kid at UC Irvine who's studying law.
My goodness.
I have 3 kids at UC Davis. I have a kid at San Luis Obispo.
These are kids with autism or some other severe disability. Yeah,
absolutely. So I think that one of the things that has been in the past is that we've set our expectations too low.
Yeah,
we've imagined that this is the limit of what they can do. Not so. In fact, with the appropriate background and education, I would venture to say immodestly, the kind of education we're trying to provide them, they can do amazing things. And in fact, so far, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You've got these kids who are in college, who are being successful, who are holding down jobs. There's a kid we had who graduated in June who wanted to go to college. He was quite a gifted programmer. He knew a couple of languages already while he was at the school.
And what was his disability, or what?
He was on the spectrum.
Okay.
He is on the spectrum.
Autistic meaning, yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Because autism isn't a thing; it's a spectrum of.
Correct. Autism spectrum disorder is the term of the
from mild to severe, right?
Correct. And he went away to college, and after a year, he told his parents he didn't want to be in college anymore. He wanted to come home. So he came home, and for a month or so, he sort of tooled around, didn't do much. And there is an organization called Auticon who hires individuals on the autism spectrum as IT, as programmers, and so he went to work for them, and now he holds down a job as a programmer. So this is a kid who you might think initially, well, what promise is there? He managed to get through high school, didn't want to go to college, not particularly communicative, but he's
Right.
gifted in this one area
Right.
where it so happens that the workplace really has a great demand for individuals with that skill.
And there are certainly examples, the movie Rain Man, about one example of the high-performing autistic children, the savants even, who
Sure.
have, for all they lack, they have other doors that have opened and have incredible potential, incredible mathematical, analytical skills.
Absolutely. And in fact, it's also not true that all kids on the autism spectrum aren't social or aren't socially adept. Some of them are actually quite fine and are as social and as socially capable as you or I might be. So it's not across the board. And so that's the thing really that
That's
needs
the
to
image
be,
you see, that they're withdrawn into their own world. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that that's really what can be addressed in the school system. I mean, you've got K through 12, you've got a number of years to really work with them, to address their needs, to improve their strengths, and I believe to find out what they're really passionate about and where their gift lies and turn that into an excellence. If you can do that, you now have a child who can really be turned into a young adult who can be gainfully employed.
Yeah, and it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for society. We're finding productivity among people we would have otherwise thrown away or locked away or kept away. And for them, it gives them a self-worth again, they have the same desire as everybody else does, to be loved, to be wanted, to be worthwhile.
And to be independent.
And
be able to hold down a job and have an apartment and have a car and clothe and feed themselves and so on. Because if we don't do that, they still need to be clothed, they still need to be sheltered, and then that responsibility falls to the state or to their family.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think this is incredible. Where did you find the passion and purpose? How did you get into this, and who started this? Why would they ever even tackle such a seemingly impossible goal?
So the help group has been around for over 40 years in the Los Angeles area. As a matter of fact, this is their first sort of spearhead outside of LA County into Orange County.
You have, what, 2 schools up there somewhere?
We have 2 STEM3 Academy, one in Valley Glen, one in Culver City, and now we have one in Orange County. They're all K through 12. And we began in 5 years ago. So this was, 2019, 2015, in August we began in Valley Glen, started with a high school of 32 students. But I think we saw the importance going forward of these STEM skills. We looked at what the workplace demands. We looked at the unemployment.
You put 2 and 2 together. You said the world needs STEM skills, and there's a population of kids that we've given up on that aren't being utilized, and maybe we can somehow match the 2 together.
I think that's exactly right.
So how did your background was an educator. You said you were a principal at one of these schools. When they came to enlist you, when you came, whoever the people are that started this, didn't you say this is crazy?
No. I leapt at the opportunity.
Are you crazy?
Probably. No, we had lots of discussions about this, whether it was viable, whether it made sense. And, I take my hat off to the help group, to the CEO and to the COO for really being willing to take the chance.
Is there a place we can go and contribute or learn about their work? It's the help group, HELP?
Exactly. The help group. They have a website, www.thehelpgroup.org. STEM3 Academy has its own website, also www.STEM3academy.org.
And I missed that in the introduction. I incorrectly called it just the STEM Academy. I missed the little cube, the STEM cube, the STEM with the raised 3. Why that? Why is it cubed? Why is there 3?
So, great question. So, it's common to talk about 2E kids, so kids who are twice exceptional. And kids who are twice exceptional are often referred to as those who are, perhaps gifted, certainly average to above average, but also have some special need. So have perhaps a disability, they have a specific learning disability, or they're on the spectrum and so on. So that's the 2E population. So we were 3E, if you like.
You're going to take it to the 3rd level.
We're at the 3rd level because these are kids who often have a gift or a passion for STEM or who benefit from an alternative way of being educated.
So how does it get paid for, and how do people get their kids into the program? How does this work?
So it's paid for in two ways, two funding streams. One is through the IEP process. So if your child has an IEP and the IEP has NPS or non-public school as a service, we are a non-public school.
So let's back up and unpack some of those for you. So my daughter got an IEP. So somehow if your kid is struggling in school, I forgot who orders this or why they do it, but you get an independent. You have to qualify somehow, but
correct.
And then they give you an independent educational plan, and how we're going to do this. And it may be the special assistants, maybe tutors, and it may be in severe cases that you qualify to be in special classes, special education, right?
Exactly. So there's a wide variety, a range of services that the public school system can provide, but there are kids who don't thrive within the public school system.
A lot of them, and for a variety of reasons, yeah.
Exactly, for many, many reasons. And it's those kids who often get NPS as a service through the IEP.
And NPS stands for what?
Non-public school.
So they, rather than go to the normal middle school, public school, middle school, high school, whatever, they go to a special place. But it's not like charter schools, where you said charter schools are an alternative to the traditional school. Once it's approved by the district, the money that would go to that school is diverted to the charter school instead. And somehow you choose to send your kid to a charter school. This is something that they would have to qualify for and have an IEP, and then have this NPS. Is that what it's called?
Correct. The district has to approve NPS funding.
We can't do it within our school, so we're going to pay to send these kids somewhere else, and then the district pays you.
That's exactly
per
correct.
student, right?
That's exactly correct. Or they can be privately funded. There are some parents who elect to send their kid to the school, and they privately fund.
Right. I'm just not going to deal with the system anymore. I'm not getting anywhere, and I've got the ability. We're going to pay to put our child there.
Exactly.
How many kids? I'm assuming it's small class sizes and lots of intense one-on-one with the teachers.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since we're beginning. We literally began from scratch on August the 26th of this year.
Wow, that new. Right.
And so our class sizes are limited. We will never have more than 14 students in a class.
Wow.
More often than
What's
not,
the average now? 30, over 30 in a class?
Absolutely. And I've even visited classes which are more than that, which are into the 40s.
Wow.
But we will never go beyond that. More typical is between 10 and 12 students in a classroom. And if in an elementary classroom, I might even reduce it further than that, because these kids, they need the space. First of all, they're very active.
Right.
And you need someone who can move around and interact with them individually. So we will suit the environment according to their needs.
What amazed me, because my daughter did get an IEP, she did qualify for special ed, and suddenly she's thrown in with kids wide range. I said, literally, I remember there was one kid that kept banging his head against the wall. I'm probably not saying this politely or correctly enough, but whatever that disability is. And then there were people with brain disorders and ADHD and everything else that you could think of, and how well they all interacted together. Maybe it was because they were all different. They weren't, and it was a very collaborative. I just thought it was a very incredibly positive experience all the way around, from the teachers to the kids to everybody else here. It was a very accepting and collaborative environment here where kids work together. I mean, they're still kids. They're still going to pick on people, yell at people, get mad or whatever. But it was an amazing experience. And I applaud you for taking on such a challenging role here. I'd love to keep track of what's happening here, and we'd love to introduce you to other people. If there are other ways people can help you, what else do you need? Do you need funding? Do you need volunteers? Do you need support groups? What do you need? Partners?
All of those things. So we are going to form an advisory board. We do have one for the other two schools. So we will want to connect with commerce and industry and individuals who are interested in our population, who see the value in these kids' abilities. Certainly, we would like to have them guide us and steer us. Funding, obviously, is always welcome. We like to partner with the community. It's to benefit the community, and this is how we hope to benefit the community.
Right.
So we want to partner with individuals who see how we can help them and how they can help us.
Are there any other programs like this in the country? It said you're unique. Is this?
We know of no other.
How did you come up with the curriculum then? Where are you starting from scratch? How do we teach these kids something that nobody thinks they can learn?
Well, in terms of what you teach, that's pretty much set by the California Department of Education.
Right, so there's standards and stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
And so we are bound by the rules and regs. We are a Common Core state, so we follow the Common Core. So the difference is not so much in what you teach, it's in how you teach it.
Yeah,
and so
right.
definitely we're very alternative in that regard, and we also highly enrich the curriculum. So we offer things at the school, subjects at the school that there are not many public schools that would offer. So for example, in addition to, I think, as I mentioned, history, English, math, and science, we do robotics, we do electronics, we do
Mandarin.
we do Mandarin, exactly. So we want them to really develop as full, well-rounded individuals, absolutely capable of taking their place no matter what their passion or interest.
My daughter speaks Spanish and English. She thought that was a negative and that she would try and hide the fact. And we discovered later on that it's actually a benefit to learn a second language, because if nothing else you learn, there are 2 words to describe everything. Everything isn't quite as black and white as you once thought it was.
And it exercises other parts of your brain that don't usually get exercised.
Yeah, right, exactly. What a fantastic thing. Where do they go to learn more? This is STEM3 Academy. Give us the website and tell us where the school's located.
So www.stem, S-T-E-M, the number 3, Academy, academy.org, O-R-G. And we're on Von Carmen on 17681 Von Carmen Avenue.
Irvine here, right?
Here in Irvine.
Not far away from where we're located here. Are there others looking at this as an experiment? Are there other states? Are there other counties? Are there other groups that are viewing you as a pioneer in this and tracking to see if they can maybe incorporate this themselves?
We have a lot of interest from, I get contacted by, libraries, universities, lots of learning institutions who are interested in what we've done. We've been visited by the National Science Foundation. I was invited to speak in China on the program very early on. So we get lots of invites to come and talk about our experiences. We know of no other group, however, that has said, we want to start one too. How do we do it?
Yeah, right. Well, let's hope that is the next phase of this, because you're opening up the door to a world that these kids never thought was possible, and you're turning them into you're giving them a way to realize their dreams and make them productive members of society, and all that just sounds wonderful for everybody all around here. The parents, the kids, and the community all benefit through your work here. Thank you so much.
Of course, absolutely. We're delighted to do it, and we're thrilled to be here.
All right. Well, keep us in your mailing list, and come back in a year or two and give us an update, will you, as it's how it's working here and what's not working and how you've adapted it and changed it and what the potentials are here.
Absolutely. I really thank you. I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Another example of why we do this show. The most amazing people doing the most incredible things right here in your own backyard. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.